You know what time it is, right?
Hey, Ty!
What's up, Nick?
You already know what time it is. It's time for Dr. Tongie Show.
Come here, I want to show you something.
I'ma shine now, cause you project me. Paid for my sins, so now I'm dead free. No weapon against me can prosper, it must please your grace, it must be. You're my Jehovah, Jireh, see, don't need no one else, cause you complete me.
Good evening and happy Wednesday. I don't know about you, but paying attention sometimes is just a problem for me. It's your girl, Dr. Tongie, and welcome to another episode of the Dr. Tongie Show. We're broadcasting live right here in the beautiful country of St. Lucia, located in the Caribbean. And I want to say thank you to everyone who takes time out of their busy schedule to tune in. Yep, it's a new platform that we've launched and we're excited about it. So you literally can catch us live here Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays on Facebook Live, Instagram Live, YouTube, and the website. We've got a newly launched website, www.drtongieshow.com, and I'm really excited about it. And I will not do a show without my guy that makes concessions to get here. He's been on work all day, and he says, "You know what? Surely, honey, I'll celebrate with you this good news, these kingdom principles that we like to delve in." He's none other than my gentle giant, Marlon.
Good evening, Dr.
How are
Tongie.
you,
Well, there's
man?
a saying that goes, do something that you love and you'll never have to work a day in
There
your
you
life,
go.
right? So,
There you go.
even if you're out and sometimes it can be a little,
Yeah.
sometimes it may seem like
Come
it's
on,
a little
man. Of
long.
course.
Whenever you love something, there's no problem, absolutely no issue doing
Wow.
what it is that you love. And it doesn't really seem like
Doesn't
work.
seem like work, right?
Yeah, no, not at all.
Yeah, that's why he's my gentle
You
giant.
just need some rest sometimes.
Thank you so very
It's
much.
good to be here.
I want to also thank the people that are behind the scenes. You know, sometimes you not take them for granted, but sometimes you forget to shout them out and say, "Thank you so very much for your sacrifice. Thank you for making me sound good and look good." And they just keep on perfecting everything that they do for this show. So shout out to our guy, See, Capture, Inspire, Kendrick Williams, and of course my stylist and I want to say armor bearer, but I'm not. I'd be doing too much. Mr. Morgan Scott himself. I am grateful to you guys. Thank you so very much. The For those who don't know, the opening of the show is actually that song is written, Grace and Mercy, was written by my son, Tron Caliber, and sang by, of course, my little niece, Asia Major. And we are literally working right now to get that out so that it can be heard and downloaded on Spotify. The show is already in syndication, so we're excited about that. And syndication just really means that, you know what, we're worldwide. We're on Apple Podcasts and Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, and Spotify and iHeart and about 17 other
Yeah.
streaming platforms. So
I
I'm
was just about
excited
to say
about that.
yes, as long as many as you can name, right?
Yeah, man, of course. Now, if you're wondering what is this show about, I'm glad you asked. This show is it's a kingdom principled show. And when you think about the kingdom of God, I want you to think about God's invisible government. It is a far country. It's his country where he rules and reigns with his laws and morality and principles. Now, when you think about principles, I want you to think about the original intent of something. And as it relates to all things God, it is his original intent in his word. See, the wonderful thing about the kingdom principles is that you literally can go into what I call, or what we know as, our Constitution, the Bible, and literally apply those laws to your life and see the manifestation and the abundance that our big brother Jesus talked about in there. So it's not a religious show, all right, but it is a show to move you from where you are to where you really want to be. It's a show that's founded on, oh boy, I just lost my train of thought. Okay. It's for encouraging you and motivating
Motivation,
you.
yes,
Yes,
yes.
absolutely. And inspiring you. And hopefully it'll hold you accountable for your purpose. Everyone was born with a purpose. We were, and it's up to us to get into that purpose so that we can literally live that life that we're supposed to, that we're destined to live. And like I said, it's a show that I get to do Monday, Wednesday, and Friday right here with you.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
And I'm grateful. I am grateful for that. So if you would do me a huge solid, I'm going to tell my age here, solid, would you like, share, engage on YouTube, especially, and Instagram and Facebook, and of course, the newly launched website, www.drtongishow.com. And who knows, you could apply and be a guest
Yes.
on the show.
And yeah, I want to give a shout out to some of my
Absolutely,
folks
sir.
before we get started.
Yeah. Shout
I've
out.
been, sharing as well. So
Thank you.
whenever they see it, like, oh, I'm gonna check it out. I have my friend over there in Texas, I believe. I can never really
Texas?
remember the name
Yeah.
of the place, but she says, whenever she misses it, she always goes back and she
Wow.
watches. So
Thank you.
shout out there to you. Thank you very much. I do appreciate it.
Absolutely.
And I'm hoping you probably on tonight. You're probably watching tonight, or maybe you'll watch a little later on. So big up to you.
How about that?
Yes.
Texas.
Yes.
You know, I once lived in Texas.
Yes. Well, I think you mentioned that one
Yeah,
time
El
because she's
Paso.
actually a St. Lucian who lives
Okay.
over there in
How
Texas.
cool
Yes,
is
she has
that?
a family over there and all.
Yeah. So thank you so very much for coming aboard and watching. How about that? Also, I want to say a special shout out to Nicole Toombs, who is my girl from Los Angeles, California. She's in the entertainment business, and she's watching. And thank you so very much. We really appreciate that. And Crystal Jones, who's watching from Bell Garden, California. That's Los Angeles County. Thank you, Crystal. Thank you very, very much for tuning in. All right. I want to talk this evening about a kingdom principle that, you're never too old to learn, all right? And just when you thought that you're like able to go through chaotic moments and everything's fine, I was taken aback because this kingdom principle came to teach me this week, and I had to be open, honest, and sincere about what it was that I was learning. So I want you to follow along, if you will, because we've got 4 keys that we can apply, and it will help you. I literally do this myself, and I am a living witness, as my grandmama would say, that it really does work. Thank you. All right. Chaos. When you think about chaos, I want you to think along the lines of disorder and disarray, disorganization. Merriam-Webster's dictionary describes chaos as a state of utter confusion or disorder, a total lack of organization and order. However, when I started to study the word chaos, the Greek translation says emptiness, waste, destruction, desolation, and void. And as I studied this principle, I had to remind myself that even in my chaotic moment, and I had some chaotic moments this week, oh boy, did I, that it is uncomfortable to be in chaos. It really is, especially when you're, type A personality and you kind of know exactly what to do in every situation. But this time I found myself not necessarily doing what I know to do. See, one of the things when you're in a chaotic situation is that you got to stay calm. You must stay calm when you're dealing with chaos. And the more that I literally tried to change the scenario and rush through it, the more depressed I found myself, the more I felt myself kind of at a loss. And I knew better, you know? And we were being honest here. So there are just some things in your life that you will not be able to change, and you literally just have to be okay with that. There are some people that you just cannot change, and the thing that I've learned is instead of me trying to change the person that I was kind of involved in the chaotic situation, I literally had to go into prayer. And my prayer wasn't so much as God change that person, it was change me. So I wrote down 4 things that literally, I kid you not, to this day has helped me see life a lot better. Key number 1, persistent praying. Now, as you know, prayer is an action word. It is something that you do when you pray. And what happens in persistent prayer is that you literally are in communication with our daddy. I call him daddy because of the relationship that I have with him, that I wasn't necessarily telling him everything that was going wrong because he already knew. It was more, please show me how I can work on me. So when you're persistently praying, you're acknowledging that he is there with you, that he'll never leave you, that he will not forsake you. And I remember someone saying that there's an acronym for prayer, persistent praying, and they called it PUSH, PUSH, which they kind of said it was pray until something happens, right? But what I'm understanding now is pray as though you know that with an understanding that something has happened, praying as understanding that something has already happened. All right. The second key, literally, that again came to test me this week, the second key that I had to use was preparation. And you're probably wondering, woman, what are you talking about? I'm in the middle of something chaotic and you're telling me to prepare for something? Absolutely, I am. Because what happens when you are in the middle of chaos, you already know that he's already worked it out for your good. And that's something that I had to literally hang on to today. Kid you not, early this morning, today, I had to realize that if I don't change my perception, if I don't get ready for the after effect of what I'm going through, that I was going to find myself stuck right there, praying, but not believing that he was with me, not preparing for the answer that I was asking for. So, in order for me to understand that when you are praying, preparing for the answer, that it really does make it a lot easier than you just keeping a steadfast kind of attitude on what's going on or what's going wrong in your life. The third key that I had to use today was perception. See, when you start perceiving that no matter what this is, it's got to pass, one of my favorite passages in scripture are 5 words, and it came to pass. And that's what it did. See, it's something about humbling yourself. See, I had to make certain that I wasn't operating in pride. And see, pride is real sneaky. It sneaks up on you. It makes you think that it's the other person's fault when sometimes it's you. So if you're dealing with a prideful thing, be careful with that, because it'll cause you to miss. It'll cause you to miss what God has already prepared for you. And the fourth key that I want you to consider if you're in the middle of a chaotic situation is proceeding. That's something that we kind of have to slow down a little bit to understand it. Because, see, when you're proceeding, you're going forward no matter what. And I literally had to talk to myself today over and over and over that this is going to pass. It came to pass that I'm dealing with this pride thing, that I'm praying, without ceasing, and that I can literally believe that I got to move forward. And that's what I had to do. I literally had to humble myself and say, I'm sorry, so that I could proceed forward. Chaos happens in everybody's life. It does. But if you're serious about growing in all things in God, you'll work on you. And that's the moral of chaos. Chaos is not here to destroy you, man. It's not. But it is here to check you. Because, like I said, for me, I had to make certain that I wasn't dealing in pride. So you already know what I'm going to ask you, honey. You're up. I saw the wheels turning, man. I saw them turning.
Yes. Because I'm like you. I'm looking at chaos, and the synonyms of chaos are so wide ranging. I mean, you think chaos is bad, and you look up chaos, and you see so many synonyms, and I didn't even know that this could fall under chaos.
Yeah.
So then now you start asking yourself, have I been through any sort of chaotic situation? Because when I'm thinking chaos, I'm thinking like turmoil, and I'm saying, I haven't really been through that. But when you look at the synonyms and you look at some other words associated with chaos, you're like, well, I guess I've been through a few chaotic situations.
For sure.
How do you handle it? I'm pretty sure you're going to ask me.
You know?
Have you been through that? How are you going to handle it? Well, I'm guessing, different people have different ways,
For sure.
of handling it.
For
And
sure.
I'm going to suggest prayer, because prayer is always a good way.
Absolutely.
But, you mentioned something, and it is also good. You sit down and you have that conversation with yourself.
Absolutely.
I mean, you always say the Father knows what's happening. He knows everything that's happening. But how are you going to handle your chaotic situation?
Right.
So maybe you sit down and you have a conversation with the Father, or you have a conversation. I believe, too, having a conversation with yourself is the same as having a conversation with the Father.
Come on now, talk about it.
So you're talking to yourself, but you're really talking to somebody
you're
else.
talking to him,
It's talking through you.
Absolutely.
So you sit down, you have that conversation, and you wonder, you ask yourself, what is this? Why are you going through this? What can you do? How can you handle it? And some of the points that you mentioned may come up.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Have I been through it? Oh, many. When I look it up now, maybe I've been through more chaotic situations than you think.
Oops.
But I always take a little time out to sit down and ask myself questions, key questions that I think I can use to handle a situation.
Absolutely. And in the spirit of all honesty, when I was in that realm of chaos, to be honest, everything worked out perfectly fine. Today I got, we would call it a breakthrough. I got a breakthrough from that moment of, it could have been detrimental. It could have been detrimental to a relationship, my health.
Yeah.
So it's just being honest with yourself, man, and understanding that if you're not careful in this walk, especially when you're desiring to be closer to him and you're walking this thing out, right? You'll find yourself, if you're not careful, operating in self-righteousness. And that's a bad place to
very
be.
much so. Now we can look at whatever situation you may be in, that chaotic situation that you may be in, and not handle it, and it can create a little more.
Yep.
It can create. We can make the situation
Absolutely.
really worse than it was.
Absolutely.
Sometimes you may not even realize that what you were going through was really nothing until you sit down and
Come on,
you're
man.
like, okay, that's what it was.
Yeah, man.
I handled it. I'm good. I'm good.
Absolutely.
And it'll put you in a place that you can always be ready for another situation, because the situations the situations will arise.
They will. And it's unfortunate, but it's not, because you really begin to realize that passage that says, greater is he that's in me than he really that's in the world. It really is the truth. I had to go back to my roots, man, and search my heart. And if it's me, then show me me.
Yeah.
And when he shows you and you see it, you're like, yuck. Me? Did I do that? Man, it's just, it's a slippery slope.
Yes.
And you have to be really careful with it. How do you handle chaos?
It really is because,
Yeah.
you know, everybody does not have that same, you know, that same
No.
thought system, you know. So
For sure.
how you handle it is really important.
It is.
And speaking to people out there,
Absolutely.
now you could say maybe this is how you could look into it this way,
That's it.
rather than maybe what if what you've been doing hasn't been working.
Right.
If you heard her definition for chaos, or if you look it up yourself and you see
Yeah.
and you're like, then I know what I can do. Maybe I can do this. I can take a little time out and sit down and think
Yeah.
about it, or talk to God, or
Yeah.
talk to yourself.
Right, right.
You know,
Because you want to
it's
grow.
not crazy. It's not a crazy thing
No,
to do.
it's not. Not at all.
Yeah.
You know, you want to grow. There's a passage that says you go from faith to faith, glory to glory. And the only way you go from faith to faith is your faith has to be tested.
Yes.
I
Oh,
taught
yeah.
the children, my kids, and my grandchildren that everything you do for God has to be tested for authenticity. Is this really from God, or is this from you?
Yeah.
And if it's from you, you'll give up real quick and say, let me do something else.
Yeah.
But if it's from Him, then you already know that He got you
Yep.
in every circumstance, in every situation.
Yeah. And if you know that, if you really
Come on,
do
bro.
know that,
Come on.
then you know what's gonna happen, right? Any situation, any test that you've been put through, then you know that you're gonna walk out of this.
Absolutely.
Well, let's just say, I'm looking forward and I can't find it right now. But
That's all right.
you're
I've
gonna
been
just
there.
basically walk out of it and saying that, yeah, I have this, I got this,
Yeah.
because He already knows what's gonna happen.
Absolutely.
He already has me, and
Absolutely.
why should I fail?
Yeah.
Why should I fail? I will be tested. I will go for trials, but
Yeah.
why should I fail? I will not fail.
Come
Yeah.
on, man. You sound like you know what you're talking about.
No, when you look at certain things, because there's this thing I always like about, you know, patience and what when God puts you for a test. So if you ask for patience, this is what you're like, Lord, I need
Come on,
to be patient.
dude.
I've been trying, I can't
Yeah,
do
yeah,
it,
yeah.
and I've been getting more situations where
Yeah.
my patience is being tested. Why aren't you helping me?
Yeah.
But the
He really
situation is, He's putting you through this, so you
Absolutely.
could put your patience to test. You know, you've been
Yeah.
asking for it,
Come
so
on.
you know you want it.
Yeah.
So He's putting your patience to a test.
How about
You understand?
that?
So these little things kind of build me. You know, I'm like, okay, when I'm going through situations where I lack patience,
Yeah.
I'm like, you know what? Just hold on. Just hold
hold
on.
on.
There are people who will say to you, boy, I don't know how you
I
do it.
know,
If
I
it was me, I
know.
would have
Yep,
done this. And
yep,
I'm like, no,
yep.
no, I'll be patient.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know what I've learned in chaotic situations is when you turn to someone who knows Him also, that has that walk with Him, they're not going to tell you their opinion about the situation. If they're seriously in tune with you and in tune with Him, they're going to start. The first thing they do is pray.
Yeah.
You know, whether you want to hear it or not. You know what I mean?
And probably that time you feel like, this is not what I want to hear.
Yeah.
How do you, but let me let me ask you a question.
Absolutely.
How would you be able to say to someone who is going through a situation, a chaotic situation, and like you said, you don't want to go and say, hey, look, this is what you need to do. This is what you
Yeah.
need to do. But you say, okay, I think we should pray about this. And the person does not really look like this is what they really want right now. But how do you go about it? How do you convince them that
Well,
prayer is what really matters now?
to be open, honest, and sincere, I'm going to pray anyway.
Okay.
And I am, because I understand you're having a human moment. And if I, get disillusioned, or if I get upset because you won't receive prayer, then shame on me. You know what
Yeah.
But I just the other day, beautiful friend, my dearest, one of my best friends, Ty. Thank you so very much, Ty. Her first order of business was prayer. But at that very moment, I was having a human moment, and I hear you, baby. But I don't want this. I want a resolution to what I'm going through at this very moment. I want it now. But she kept praying, and it was so beautiful, and it was exactly what I needed. And later on in the evening, I could realize, man, if I don't watch myself, That's detrimental to my health. I don't have the kind of time to be angry with folk and not speak. I don't have that kind of time. When you've asked him to number your days so that you won't be wasteful, you understand the importance that time really is. And if you're on an assignment and you know your assignment, you ain't got time to waste. So I would go, I would still pray for the person, but then I would meet them right where they are. I get it. You're angry.
Yes,
I get it. I've been there. And I would, tell them some of the things that I've had to go through. But my objective would not be to leave them the way in that situation. That's detrimental to your life.
So if somebody is watching this right now, someone who's going to be watching this later is going through that situation, what sort of a suggestion would you make, considering you not there with them in the physical sense?
Sure.
Is there a passage, is there a verse, is there a prayer? Is
Yeah.
there something that you can say to them that right now?
I would honestly remind them that God knows everything. He knows absolutely everything about you. And if you find yourself in a chaotic situation and you're like, but you don't understand, I may not, but he does. And one of my go-to passages is Psalm 23. And that gives me the reassurance that, yeah, I may think I have my life all figured out, but he knows my end. And then he placed me into time and space. There is absolutely nothing that is too monumental, that is too big to carry to him. He knew before you even got in it how it was going to transpire. But he's closer to you than you really know. And I think sometimes we want to isolate ourselves and just try to figure it out. And that's exactly what the enemy wants you to do. He wants you to steal away. He wants you to be by yourself. He wants you to get in that headspace where you can't even hear. So for anyone who find themselves in a chaotic situation, it will pass. There is absolutely nothing that you can do, nothing you have done, nothing that you will do that will separate you from his love, And that's the reassurance that I get, man.
Okay. So, in a sense, any chaotic situation, anything on the whole that is sort of not working out your way, if you have that conversation, you speak with God, you can create that bond, and then you can understand what it is that you've been going through, right?
You'll see yourself grow. And it's such a phenomenal growth that you'll look back over your life and say, you know what? He was with me right there, and he was there, and he was there, and he'll never leave me.
And when you get to understand that, you will realize that he has been there all along.
All
right?
along.
All along. You chose not to notice when that happened. Okay.
I call it a human moment.
A human moment. Okay.
And we have those.
All the time.
All of the time. But what you have to remember is that we are spirit, not a spirit, but we are spirit. And the only way that we literally can worship him is in spirit and truth. Go to him. I went to him as messed up as I was with my understanding of the situation. But then I had to realize that you got me.
This is why, in some instances we were taught that we've heard of some people who have done atrocious things, crazy things.
Yeah.
And probably they entered a prison cell, and that's where they found God, and they get to sit back and look back and we wonder, but how can this man who has probably murdered 14 people make it to the kingdom of heaven?
Come on.
But you realize he came out of his chaotic situation. That could be part of it as well.
Oh, absolutely.
And he finally spoke.
Yep.
And he finally got it, and he finally understood it.
Yeah.
And you'd be surprised, this person has something all lined up better for them. And sometimes we tend not to understand these things.
I know.
But it really does happen, right?
Yeah. It's not for us to understand.
No.
It's for us to trust.
That's right.
We've got to trust the process. Is that our time? Dadgummit. Wow. Thank you. Thank you so, so very much for showing up this evening. I am truly, truly grateful. I try not to cry and sweat, but, you know, I just can't help it, man. When you're living life.
You were sweating from your eyes.
Yeah, man. When you're living life from the inside out, you understand that what you thought was a really big problem, really, when you take it to him and he gives you that rest, it really is not as big as you thought it was. So, be encouraged. Please remember that you are loved. You're not in this thing called life by yourself. You really, really are not. And, you know, if you need to pray, pray persistently. All right? All right, that's our show. Thank you, Gentle Giant, for hanging
Thank you
out
for
with
having me here with
man,
you.
for a few minutes. And yeah, be encouraged. I love you so very much. From here to the moon and the stars. The Lord say the same and the creek don't rise. We'll do it again real soon. We will. All right? See you soon. Bye.